With a solid 6.5-inch display but subpar CPU and GPU performance, just how good is it to game on the Samsung Galaxy A12? That's what we're going to find out in this video. Let's get into it. Hello everybody, my name is Robert and this is Review Clue. Yes, as mentioned in that intro, today we're taking a look at the gaming performance on the Samsung Galaxy A12. If you haven't watched my unboxing of this phone yet, you can do that up there or in the description down below. This phone is £160, comes with a pretty good 6.5-inch display, so this sounds like it would be perfect for gaming. But with that GPU and CPU performance, I'm skeptical. So what we're going to go ahead and do today is play 3 games. We've got Call of Duty Mobile, we have PUBG Mobile, and Raid Shadow Legends, which coincidentally are not sponsoring this video. If you want to sponsor me Raid Shadow Legends, I'd totally be down for that. But anyway, those are the 3 games we're going to play. Let's get right into it. I'll show you some of those performance metrics in the settings, making sure that we're on HD, the highest it will play, and we'll try and get some gameplay as well. It's also probably worth noting that Samsung do have their own game booster mode, which we'll be trying out, because I think it would be interesting to see if it does make a difference to gaming performance. Anyway, if this is the first time that you're seeing my face on your screen, then 1, lucky you, and 2, go down there, hit that subscribe button, smash that bell notification icon so you get notified every time I upload. But without further ado, let's get right into the gaming performance on the Samsung Galaxy A12. Let's go. Okay, so here we are live inside of Game Launcher. Game Launcher is pretty simple. What I expect it will do is try to free up some of that RAM and CPU and use it on the games instead. So I'm just going to show you that I've got no background apps running. I'm just going to close everything down and just have the game optimizer and the game itself. And what we're going to do is we'll start off with some Raid Shadow Legends, considering that's first on our list here, and potentially the least taxing. Let's turn the phone onto its side and we'll wait for it all to get loaded up. So let's touch the screen to start. We'll turn on the sound as well and we'll turn it up full volume. So this gives you an idea of that speaker as well, because let's be honest, being able to hear the game is just as important as being able to see it. So one of my biggest gripes with this phone was that viewing angle, and we can see it here in particular. If you're not viewing this phone from dead direct on, the screen does lose a lot of its colour and vibrancy. So if you're going to be playing a game with maybe some cooperative games with friends and family, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. But with that 6.5-inch display, it's nice and big, and I feel like we'll be fine for these kinds of games. Now, considering this is a brand new phone, I actually haven't had a chance to play these games yet. I'm seeing this performance at the same time as you guys, so it will be nice to see a difference here. But we'll jump right back in once this is all loaded up. Here we are. Oh dear. I'm just going to turn the sound down a little bit here. The performance seems okay. It's certainly not the smoothest I've ever seen. But let's go ahead and yep. In general, I think this is running pretty well.
Well shot. Where did you learn that? Hunting works.
The arbiter cannot bar me forever else. You and I will have our day.
It's worth noting here that this screen is not even 1080p, it's running at around 720 by 1400. It's not full resolution, so seeing this kind of performance was kind of expected from my standpoint.
By the light, I'm glad you're on our side.
It's just one big happy family, boy. Move along.
So let's just keep playing for a little bit. I'll let you decide on this performance as well. We'll finish off with this boss and then jump into some other games as well.
Easy, everyone. Every dragon has a weak spot. If I can hit it just We attack together. On 3. For Teleria!
So that was Raid there, and I think that ran perfectly acceptably. I actually really enjoyed playing that on here. That nice big screen really did help, and the audio is pretty good as well. It's maybe a little bit tinny and a little bit loud at points, but in general that's pretty good. But let's go ahead and start up our next game here, which is Call of Duty Mobile. This one I expect may not run as well, but we'll log in and get set up and run through that tutorial, watching that frame rate and making sure that we're on the highest that we can push this thing. I believe we can't run HD mode just because of that screen resolution, but let's find out once we get in. This is one of my favourite games on mobile right now, and honestly, I enjoy playing this even at the lower frame rates and at the lower resolutions, just because it's a lot of fun to play. So if you haven't downloaded it, go check it out. And it's a great game to benchmark as well, because it really does push these phones to their absolute limit. But let's get right into some gameplay. Okay, so here we are loading into the normal tutorial scene, which appears to load quite quickly. But let's go ahead and take a look around. This feels, wow. This feels super smooth. There we go. This feels really nice and smooth. I don't know what kind of resolution this is running at, but it feels really nice, and that's the important bit for me. So there we go. And we're going to run forwards. Pick this up here. Oh, and my screen's gone dark. Let's turn off auto resolution, auto brightness real quick. There we go. So we are back with that nice bright screen now. And we're changing modes again. Okay, and here we go. There we go. Oh dear. As you can tell, I'm an awful aim at this game, especially when playing under a camera. But in general, this feels really smooth and seems to be playing really, really well. I was genuinely very sceptical of how this would run on such a low-end device, but it seems to be handling it very well. We'll obviously take a look in those settings in a minute at the resolution that this is running at. There we go. So yeah, I'm really enjoying that. That's really good. Again, the audio is pretty good. Not too loud, but I'm just impressed by how smooth that is. So let's get into those settings, check them out, and see if this is just a really well optimized game for this kind of device. Here is the real test. We're jumping into a multiplayer game right now in Nuketown. And we're going to see just how bad my gameplay actually is with this. But it will also give us a much better idea of how this game plays when you're playing against real people. So the smoothness still appears to be staying here, which is really nice, especially in a multiplayer game. I feel like I'm getting the upper hand here just because my frame rate is so rock solid. But no amount of frame rate is going to make my gameplay any better if I'm just shit at the game, which it appears that I am. There we go. Okay. So I'm just in the settings here. We're running at the low setting, and to be honest with you, I hadn't really noticed. My frame rate is now set to high, so we're now running at a much higher frame rate. That's obviously going to have a negative effect on the battery power, but For a low quality, I don't hate it. It doesn't look all that awful. For £160, it's nice to see such a nice gameplay experience, even if it is on a low quality and potentially not the highest frame rate. Let's see if we can change that in the settings real quick though, because I was in the middle of a game and I checked those settings. Maybe we can change it afterwards. So yeah, now I'm back in the settings in the main menu. I am noticing that I can only run this at the low setting, which is a real shame. I kind of expected it because of the CPU and GPU performance on this, but as we saw, I don't think it really affected gameplay too much, and to be honest, in an FPS, you're not really watching the visuals, so having a low setting is fine as long as we're keeping that nice high frame rate. But of course, let's jump out and check out the last game here, which is of course going to be PUBG Mobile. And it is just here. So let's run PUBG Mobile. One thing to note with the PUBG Mobile in particular, I've noticed, it is very, very slow to load. It's been sat here doing this for about 5 minutes now. And maybe that's because this is the first time setup. We'll take a look in a bit. But if it is this slow to load every time, then this is almost a write-off on its own for me. Games are loading so slowly on this, and I suspect it's probably the memory that they've used in here. It's slow to the point of actually being quite painful, but let's wait and jump into some gameplay. Maybe it can redeem itself through some good graphics and some high frame rates. Okay, so here we are loading into the game. Straight away, I noticed on that home screen, even changing costumes and moving my character around, just spinning him in spot, was very slow. So, actual frame rate seems fine. I'm just going to mute the sound because there is people talking. But frame rate is, as we can see here, not amazing at all. It's actually quite slow and unresponsive. But let's jump into those settings and find out what's going on here. Okay, so we're on smooth and medium. Let's see if we can change that up at all and bring that up to... Okay, so HD is not available on our device. So the best that we can do, as we can see here, is balanced. So let's go balanced and medium and see if that's going to do anything. So, okay, just moving around with the plane here, it's okay. It doesn't seem too noticeable. But let's jump out and see how that pop-in is. I'm interested to see how long it's going to take for trees and such to pop in. Let's try and bring that sound back up, see if people have stopped talking. They do seem to have done. So this is certainly not the smoothest experience going. And we are still waiting for buildings and trees to... Oh, that's some quite nasty popping going in there, especially with the buildings and the trees. I would almost argue that maybe this is not an experience that I would at all enjoy on a mobile. It seems slow. It seems unresponsive. Look at how long it's taking for things to pop in here, and yeah, yikes. This is on balanced mode, so maybe we should bring it back down to that smooth here and give that a try. Maybe we're just trying to push it too much. Okay, so that is ever so slightly better. It is still very, very slow though. Let's go find some guns and try and have a shoot. But I don't envision myself playing this for too long at all. It's not an enjoyable experience, as we can watch and see here. Let's try and find something, anything. Can I jump over this? Oof, there we go. Okay, here's a gun. Cool. I can hear some shooting. Okay, so textures are really not very nice here at all. So I think for this kind of device, you'd be looking to play more casual games like Candy Crush or, I mean, maybe even Raid Shadow Legends. It did seem to run fairly well on this device. But things like PUBG Mobile here are not an enjoyable experience, and the frame rate is really letting it down, unfortunately. Call of Duty Mobile again seemed fairly smooth throughout, which was nice to see. But yeah, this is not the device to play PUBG on, unfortunately. Okay, so I mean, in general, this seems almost unplayable. I would argue. Again, sound seems fine. I can hear everything, and everything looks blocky and almost like I'm playing this on a PlayStation 1. For £160, I was certainly expecting a lot more. But what we're going to go ahead and do is we'll jump to me for the outro and just a little bit of an explanation as to what I think this device is probably used for. Okay, so there we have it, guys. I think this pretty much sums everything up. To me, the experiences throughout these apps really varied. For Raid Shadow Legends, things seem to run really well, though again, that's not a massively taxing game. In COD Mobile, it was well optimised. The game ran very well, just at a very low resolution. But this was a completely different story for PUBG Mobile. PUBG Mobile looked bad, played bad, and just was bad in general. So I think with its underpowered CPU and GPU, this is not a gaming device and was never built to be one. If you're into your more casual games like Candy Crush Saga, Angry Birds, and whatever else the kids play these days on their phones, then this is probably awesome. But for a gaming machine, I would suggest waiting out. Maybe saving up £40 more and buying something like the Poco X3 or the Xiaomi Mi 10T Lite. These are both behemoths in the gaming world. About £200, so only 60 quid more than you would pay for the A12, but you get significantly better performance both through those graphical fidelities and that frame rate. So anyway, guys, what did you think of this gameplay? Was I as bad as I said I was? What do you think? Would you pick one of these phones up to play some games on? Or do you think you'd save up and buy something maybe a little more suited to it? Anyway, guys, my name's been Robert. This has been Review Clue, and I will catch you in the next one. Adios.